That's so funny. Okay, so hey, the good news is, folks, Taj Dashaun and we don't have to fist fight. Like Bryant Lavender and I. We had. This is my third monitor. He's a receiver, and I interviewed him on the last Mastermind. And I'm a defensive back, so I tried to punch him. I tried to sneak in a few punches a couple of times, and I broke my monitor. But Taj is a fellow defensive back, so it's good stuff. So welcome to the Mental Fitness Mastermind podcast. Obviously. Powered by mentalfitness.care and the Athlete Mental Health Certification Program, where athletes are going to be helping athletes defeat those mental challenges in the game of life. Okay, so let me read a little bit about this, get some housekeeping out of the way. The goal of the Mental Fitness Mastermind is to bring together a collection of current and former athletes, mental health professionals, sports psychologists, and key stakeholders. And now that's important, key stakeholders within the athlete community, the ecosystem. And I'm talking about brands, I'm talking about businesses, I'm talking about doctors. If you and your world revolves around athletes, then you have a position on our team, okay? We all have a position to play, and we have to play our position because we know winning teams aren't the teams that have the best individual player. They're the teams that everybody knows their role. They come together as a unit. They come together focused on one single purpose, is defeat the challenge in front of them. And right now it's athlete mental health. And that's everything that we do is focused around the whole athlete. All right. So now it's time to meet one of your teammates. And again, I'm going to let him tell all about himself and all about his career and those types of things. And the pertinent information from a business perspective, how to get in touch with him, what he's doing. I'll put all of that in the box below. So, if we skip something, then, you can find it below. And also, because we live in a non-perfect world and none of us are perfect, imperfectly perfect is what the gentleman from the scarsfoundation.org says. And I agree with that. There might be some glitches. So if we talk over each other, and Taj, I'll tell you this as well, if I talk over you or do whatever, I apologize. I'm not trying to do that. I'll be aware of that. But sometimes it might be a lag. And so we'll catch that. And as long as we cover the meat of the subject, then, we're going to do the best we can. We're going to get it done. All right. Taj, take it away, my man.
Yes, sir. Before I do that, before I get into who I am, Danny, I just want to say, it has been a pleasure connecting with you. I don't know how long it's been. I want to say the past 6 months or so, something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I love the work you're doing with Mental Fitness Mastermind. Love who you are as a man. Glad we're finally getting a chance to chop it up. I know you know this, but I'm just saying this for the people listening. This is the beginning of something beautiful. And the fact that you and I are connected, we're going to be partnered for the next several years. And I'm excited to be a part of your mission and support in any way I can. So thank you for having me. First and foremost, I'm honored to be here.
Yeah.
My name, where do I start? I'll try to keep it as brief as possible.
I don't want to give people a 20-minute
intro.
Do your thing, my man. I mean, you got the floor. You're a DB. Now, if you're a receiver, I'd say, come on. Keep it. Come on, let's go. Yeah, I was like Brian Lavender. I was like, hurry up, Brian. Hurry. No one cares. No one cares.
We're both crazy.
No one cares, Brian.
Shout out to Brian Lavender, man.
No one really cares. This is a DB
you caught
channel.
A few balls, Brian. Big
yeah.
deal.
So what? So what? What's that towel doing? Who wears towels anymore? Untuck that damn shirt. Okay. Sorry, Brian.
Man, this is why I knew we were going to get along. We're both crazy. We both play DB. Someone once told me that you got to be, of course, you got to be a little crazy to play football, but you got to be a psychopath to want to play defensive back. So,
especially cornerback.
I played corner and safety, so I went back and forth between both. And I played receiver in high school, but I got my scholarship to play defense. So anyway, man, on to the business.
Yeah,
all right, here we go.
You, buddy.
My name is Taj Dashaun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I am an athlete career transition, but essentially I help athletes transition into the next stages of their lives. Mostly collegiate athletes. I did not play professionally, so I kind of have a sweet spot. I have worked with some professional athletes, but mostly college athletes. Transitioning college athletes is where my heart is, and I help them map out the next stages of their lives. My coaching program is called Thrive After Sports. Same name as my book. You might see it in the background, but I got it right here too.
Awesome.
Thrive
Fantastic,
After Sports,
man.
Book that I came out with last year. Thank you, sir.
You got to autograph one and send it
for
to me.
Supporting and grabbing a copy. Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I got you on that. And also I have a podcast called Thrive After Sports. So in addition to that, I'm also vice president of Self-Publish in 30 Days, which is the #1 self-publishing company in the world. Same company that helped me publish my book. I thought they did such a great job with my book that when they offered me a position or a partnership to come on board, it was a no-brainer. So what
Yep.
I'm doing there essentially as vice president is building out a sports division and
Right.
overseeing any book related projects, collaboration projects related to athletes. So just another way for me to serve the athlete community and get more stories out around the. That's pretty much what I'm working on. That's who I am. That's what I'm about.
I love that, Taj. And you know what? I'm, just going to interject some mental health aspect of that for the athlete. It's been documented that journaling is such a powerful tool for mental health for all of us, right? And I love the fact that you've got this, self-published in 30 days, because a lot of athletes have a story to tell. This is kind of the back door of saying, hey, let's get you journaling. Let's get you opening up. And the whole time, you're teaching them how to articulate what they're feeling. And then get it out to the world. It's such a great, I don't know if that was meant to do that, but boy, I can see the clinical tie-in, can't you, with the journaling and the self-publishing?
Yeah, 100%, Danny. You're spot on that. And it's funny because through my coaching, I always encourage some of my curriculum is like writing stuff out, processing it. I have certain prompts that I use in my programming and my coaching. So when I wrote the book, I got to be able to process some stuff that I had lingering still, which I didn't even realize. And then I'm like, okay, once I had the opportunity to help others do this and publish their books, I'm like, not only is it a great way for you to process some things that you're going through by writing through that process, but
Right.
also if we can get these books, not just my book, but all the books that I'm helping facilitate and get launched, there's a flurry, for lack of a better term, a flurry of books coming out about athlete transition and life after the game, and that's going to help the next generation of athletes coming up behind us. So you're spot on with that journaling.
Beautiful, man. Taj, I mean, thanks, buddy. You're leading by action. Okay, so I want to just jump right into this, since this is an athlete mental health topic, and one of the goals, I was talking to Taj offline here, is of the mastermind. And the mastermind, I think it was Napoleon Hill, the author, that brought that up, saying, bringing together a collection of consciousness and to try to solve complex issues, come up with, innovative ideas. And so one of the ways that we felt like we could do it is get athletes, and then we'll talk about, what's your biggest challenge, because there's overlap. Some might have performance anxiety, some might not. Some might be afraid of running a 4.7 or 5.8, 9.40 at cornerback, and Taj may not. But the bottom line is is getting everybody in a collection of thoughts down, and so you can just kind of scroll through and pick the one you want. So with that said, Taj, what's the toughest mental health challenge that you have ever faced as an athlete? What's the toughest one? And this starts from, obviously it might graduate into something else each stage, but from a student athlete all the way up to where you were at the highest level.
I can think of two, actually, and you made me think of it when you said performance anxiety.
Yeah.
So number one, not having the career that I wanted collegiately was very tough for me. And, everybody blames it on politics or not getting opportunities.
Well,
and I hate to be that guy, but when it's all said and done, I feel like I put my best foot forward.
mm-hmm.
And so that was a challenge for me, just not being able to have the college career that I envisioned for myself and fly out to New York to see me play, but I would be on the sidelines the whole time, or maybe just getting a few reps. So that was, I guess, from an ego or a pride standpoint, that was a very challenging time for me.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. So
I mean,
essentially,
confidence is a
my
huge
entire
thing.
college career.
Yeah, confidence is a huge thing. And if you get your confidence shattered, I mean, a lot of people say, put your ego in check. Well, you can say that's all, sounds great. You know what I mean? But, that still doesn't affect, it doesn't address the person with inside of all of that. And so, and maybe perhaps with your story like that and other athletes kind of like that, that have that similar story, then coaches, one of the whole parts of the athlete mental health certification program is to kind of enlighten the people and the stakeholders, the coaches, about ways to deal with that and ways to head off that. And maybe that's something that we should address. If you have players that are high level players that might just be in that B slot for the moment, address that instead of just saying, hey, work harder, be faster, do whatever. There's some people that, a player, it might be that much better. It might just be the coach's favorite, whatever it is what it is. So you can talk to that B level. And if there's a B level, there's a C level, and it just kind of goes on down and address that, because that creates a real mental challenge. True?
That was my first biggest mental health challenge. Everything you said, I mean, it's real. I know a lot of athletes go through it, don't necessarily talk about it. And I
Right.
love what you said about shattering confidence,
Right.
because my confidence was shattered, not just during my college career, but several years after. It took me a while to be able to pull myself out of that place to
Right.
where I could start achieving in life again without, having that performance anxiety in life.
Right.
And then, of course, as you know, the second mental health challenge was the transition. Who am I now that I'm no longer Taj, the football player?
Right.
I had a lot that after college, there was a lot of drinking going on, a lot of smoking going on. Not
Oh
that there's
yeah.
anything wrong with smoking. I just hit the
Nah.
blunt last night,
Yeah.
but
It is what
well,
it
that's
is.
another story.
Yeah, it is what
But
it is.
yeah, I mean, just a lot of challenges with that, just trying to fit the pieces and begin a new life, a life that I really didn't start preparing for until I was 23, 24, you
Right.
know?
Right. As athletes, we always want to win. We're always self-driven. Most of us at a high level, we drive ourselves. And then when you take that away from us, first of all, we don't have that structure. We don't have that game plan. We don't have that itinerary that keeps us going and keeps us. The one thing that athletes did, or athletics did for me, and it does for a lot of athletes, I'm sure you can relate to this, is it keeps us in the moment. It keeps us in the moment, because if you're not in the moment, you're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to get burned like I did all the time. Hey, listen, I was in the moment. I was just slow. Bryant Lavenders, they were just outrunning me. But athletes keep you,
Right.
they keep you, the sport keeps you in the moment. And so once you're in the moment, you're in the flow state or whatever that is, and it keeps you in a really good mentally fit position. But then when you don't have that, then you mentioned something that I can relate to in terms of the drinking. I mean, to me, it was the big heavy drinking, because I was going to win at whatever I did. So if I did just a little, I was going to do a lot. It was that old story that one was too many and 10,000 was not enough, and then it just kind of keeps you down there. But what it is, I have these voices in my head. I have all of this that's driving me, pushing me, making me, want to achieve. But then I may not have a goal, or especially being an entrepreneur. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about the athlete transition position that you offer. That wasn't really there too long ago. We didn't have that. I didn't have access to that. It certainly wasn't around when I was there. So, when we don't have something to fill that void, we try to turn down the volume in our head. And a lot of times illicit substances, that'll turn it down. It won't make it go away. It just kind of mutes it just a bit, but it's still there. And then the next day you wake up and you're unproductive, and then it's a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, you can only run away from it or try to push it down for so long. Eventually you're gonna have to deal with it,
Yeah.
or you're forced to deal with it because maybe you're getting into some trouble, or
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree 100%.
Amen. Okay. So how did you defeat that challenge? And obviously we're athletes forever. Like Corey Camp says, so great, forever athlete. How did you defeat that challenge mainly? I mean, obviously I think some of it's kind of evident, but I want you to talk about it. And then how are you keeping it at bay? Because it's constantly, I always say, it's like a fight. You're knocking him down. He may be knocked out for a little bit, but he's getting up. We're fighting an opponent that, as long as we're on this side of eternity, we're going to have to face him in the cage of life. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right,
So
Danny.
how did
Yeah.
you face
I
it?
think for me,
Yeah.
yeah, the opportunity to achieve, right? And that was the main thing. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. And
Yeah.
whenever I'm working with the athlete, I tell
Yeah.
them the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
you were a role model to somebody. You played at an elite level, so you still have the opportunity to be a role model, or achieve great things in life, even
I
though you
like
don't
that.
have the vehicle of your sport to do that.
Yeah. I
So,
like
and
that.
I can't even take credit for that. A great mentor told me that when I was really going through my rough patch after college. And so
Okay.
once I started to adopt that mindset, I went from self-pity to like, okay, I need to heal this part of myself. If it's DBs, as a football player, as an athlete, how
That's the
can I
greatest,
take that and
greatest
apply
position in the world.
that? That's it. We might be a little biased, but
No.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really the shift, Danny, is just being like, okay, I have to take this madman inside of me,
Right.
this beast that wants to
Right.
like go to the top and keep chipping away and compete with
Yeah.
myself, mainly
Yeah.
compete with the man in the mirror. I have to
Amen.
apply that to something positive, productive, and something that's going to help other people. And so it didn't happen overnight, but the healing took some time. And then I started getting clarity. And the clarity was, oh, I'm going to help other athletes, foundation for athletes who are going to continue going through that. So
Right.
that's how I got out of it, man. Just like stop, like by not focusing on myself as much and focusing on how can I serve, how can I contribute, how can I make an impact, and how can I
Team.
keep getting 1% better every day. Team. Yep.
Amen. You're going back to your team core principle. And you know what? Something that is definitely going to thrust your business and you, I mean, you're just literally like the ink on the bottom of the pen. I mean, you're rare, but you're going to make a difference. You are, dude. I mean, you got passion, you got talent, and you got purpose, and then you got structure. You got a plan. So you're going to do some great things, and I'm glad to be on board with you. With this new name, image, and likeness, you know, now hey, listen, there's junior high players that are going to get involved with this. It's just the way it is, because nowadays the younger the better. I mean, there'll be people probably in 6th, 7th grade that'll be approached by these, you know, some of them will be sharks and some of them will be, you know, professionals that have the athletes, you know, interest in mind. But whenever there's money to be made, that's blood in the water, and there are sharks, and there are some great, the protector of athletes. I've seen you with her and what she's doing. I like what she's doing. I like the voice that she's putting out. I think that, you know, with your position, you're able to go in with these younger athletes and just say, listen, because think of the mental health challenges that they're going to be facing. Before, all we had to worry about is, you know, who's going to say no to us on prom. Oh, you didn't have to worry about that, but I probably had to. You know what I mean? But now what they're doing is they're sitting here looking at their buddy over here that's a junior in high school or a sophomore, or a senior that's looking at a sophomore coming up that he just got a lucrative deal. And then all of a sudden, how can they concentrate on their studies? How can they concentrate on anything? Look at the competition and the division that can make with the student athletes and the mental challenges that's going to be. So, you know, I'm glad that your guys are, you know, have a close eye on that, because I feel like that student athletes will be challenged mentally more than what they've ever been to this point, if that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's it's definitely going to create some interesting dynamics, like you said.
Right.
And for sure, shout out to Savania Nabarros, the protector of athletes. She's really doing a great job with that. I think for me, conversations that I've had around that is, you know, kind of like you were, because I've had several conversations with athletes who are currently playing. Now these NIL laws have passed. And one thing I've been telling them, you know, I stay in my lane. I don't try to give them, you know, branding advice. I'm terrible at social media, to keep it real. But
I don't know about that, but go ahead.
Comparison piece, right? Like you got to focus on.
You cut out. I'm sorry.
Not be like
I'm sorry, you cut out. So what?
Can you hear
say
me?
that? Yeah, say that again. What piece?
Yeah, the comparison, just not comparing yourself, which is tough to do, especially to tell a young kid
as
that.
Athletes,
but at the end of the day, you got to focus. You got to put the blinders on and focus on what you're doing. So if the guy next to you is, you know, getting brand deals for X amount of dollars, it doesn't mean that you can't still stay on your lane and focus on what you're put here to do and still execute on your path, because you have no control over what's happening with this person over here.
I know.
Conversation that needs to be had around these NIL laws, because comparison's a monster, man. It's already tough with social media, let alone when you got the guy next to you. He has more followers and he just got a, you know, $500,000 deal from some company. It would be tough to, if you're comparing yourself to him or to her, it'll be tough to really keep that confidence intact. So I like that you're bringing this point up.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for recognizing that. But really, when we're talking about athlete mental health, that is something that no coach, no parent, no athlete at the prep level, at the student athlete level has had to ever deal with. I mean, they just haven't had to deal with that. And coaches, now I know some coaches that are savvy businessmen and that have a lot of knowledge, worldly knowledge about the business arena. But there are a lot of coaches that, you know what, they got into that profession for one reason. They have blinders on. They know how to unify a team. They know how to accomplish a goal, and they know how to win. Okay. And then you bring in this where they're trying to, you know, teach these kids the sport and talk to them and mentor them in ways. And then a student comes up to a coach and says, what do you think about this? Should I sign this contract with, Dave's Donuts down the street? Said it, hey, I could sign with him and he could give me $500, or he could do this and I could sign that. And what happened is this is Dana White did a wonderful job with the UFC, because when the UFC first took over, a lot of these fighters, you probably remember, I'm a big fight fan, but a lot of people can remember when they watched the UFC back in the early days, that all these fighters would have their own sponsorships, their own shorts. I mean, it was just chaotic. It was just one big hodgepodge of money making opportunities, and there were vipers and there was contracts. Chuck Liddell was one of them. I think he openly talked about that, about getting suckered into signing contracts that had name, image, likeness, that he didn't understand it at the time. Most fighters don't. All they want is, hey, would you take care of me? Would you give me this money? Would you help me continue my career and follow my passion? And these sharks, for lack of a better word, would come to these athletes, these fighters, and sign them in. And so when Dana came in, from what I gather, is, him and his professional team came in, and, they get a lot of slack for fighter pay or whatever, but Dana and his team, they do so much for the fighters that people have no idea. The keyboard warriors have no idea how much he does for them. And so I think that the name, image, and likeness situation with all of the student athlete coaches around the world can take a good page, can take a lesson from what Dana did with the fighters, because it's a similar thing. So when a player comes to a coach and says, hey, what do I do? Should I sign this? I need money. I could help pay rent. I could, I don't have a car. I could make my life so much better. And a coach is supposed to give him what? I mean, he's not a businessman, he's a coach. So I think with people like you connecting with those coaches in high schools and student athlete leaders and saying, listen, at least we're here, talk to us, refer to us. And again, with the athlete mental health certification program, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring a collection of minds like that, like yourself, in and, position you to help coaches help athletes, because at the end of the day, it's the mental health of the athlete and the mental health of the coach, for that matter. I mean, how much of a hit would that be for a coach? If I'm a coach and my players are used to coming to me for advice, and I'm used to giving them counsel, and I take pride in that, and they come to me and ask me a business question that I have no idea, if we're honest, what to do or what to say or anything, what's that going to do to my mental health? It's going to shake me to the core. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. And this goes back to why I told you up front, I love what you're doing, because I'm gonna be honest, Danny, I've been doing this, like you mentioned, there was no transition coaches or anything when you were done playing, and me neither. That's why I decided to be that person. I basically created it for myself and started looking at what I needed.
Right.
And I think now I've had a lot of conversations over the past 3-4 years since I started doing this with people who, they said, oh, we're going to build this hub of resources for athletes. And, I know yours is specifically with mental health, but it's a lot more than that with the resources and the people that you're teaming up with. Yeah. I say all that to say, I think everything you just went over, that's why I have so much respect for what you're doing, because it's the execution. I've talked to people, oh, I'd love for you to be part of this hub and you can be a transition coach. That sounds great, but the execution is lacking. You're actually connecting with people and doing the podcast and putting out information and bringing up relevant topics that need to be discussed. So
thank you.
I don't even know where I was going with that, man. I just wanted to give you some more acknowledgement for that, because
thank you.
I'm just excited to have connected with you, because
hey, listen, I've been stalking you for a while, dude. Hey, listen, I know where the good people are. I mean, I've been like, hey, some of the stuff that I'm spitting out that everybody's going, man, that guy sounds so intelligent. I'm basically plagiarizing from your page.
Hey, copy genius. That's what
Bryant Lavender.
Copy genius. You got
Bryant Lavender. I'm reading some of yours, even though you're a receiver. I'm reading some of your stuff too. Hey, you know what? If I would have, back in the day, if it was still that name, image, and likeness, I would have gotten some major endorsements, probably from some burn creams. Burn creams that if you get burned all the time, and I'd be like, you think that I wouldn't take the money? I would take the money. I'd say, all right, I don't care.
Oh,
hey, get number 7.
That's actually a great idea, man.
Sign him up on some burn creams. That's
I bet we're gonna
slowest cornerback that ever hit the field. Okay, so
cream. That's funny, man.
So what advice can you give athletes that are battling these challenges? Okay, I mean, just straight, if you're a senior, there's a freshman, and he's coming into you, and you're noticing this freshman is you basically reincarnated, and you got some time with him. What are you going to say to him? What advice would you give battling the challenges that you battled?
Yeah, I'll start with the comparison piece.
Yeah.
No, I'll start with the piece where I was talking about how I, not having the career I wanted.
Right.
I think the advice that I would give myself, which is the advice that I did give myself, is to just, you can't control the coaches. You can't control the politics. All you can control is that you put your best effort forth every single day.
Yeah.
And the reason that I would give that advice is because honestly, there was a period of time where I was like shut down. Oh, they're not going to give me an opportunity. F this. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just going to kind of throw in the towel.
Yeah,
and so there's no
that.
point in doing that, because you might as well. When I walked away from my career my senior year, I knew that I had given it my all. So that allowed me to make peace with the fact that I didn't get the opportunities I wanted, because I knew the tail end, I gave it everything I had. So that's the advice I would give. The advice I give is, I always say this: don't worry about the money right away. Do what you need to do, obviously, to make ends meet. But your main focus should not be, I need to get some money. I need to get some money. It needs to be, what kind of life are you creating for yourself?
I love that statement.
Not what am I going to do, but how do I want to live? Yeah, that's something I'm big on. Like, I think I'm not the guy you're going to come to and I'll say, oh, you should do this. You should go into recruiting, or you should do this, this, and that. No, it has to be created from scratch. It has to be something internal that you start. That's what you and I do. We had an idea. We had something that we, a vision, and then begin executing outside, versus most people, which I used to be guilty of this too. You feel lost, and then you look for something external to fill the void. I used to be on Indeed, like, where is my dream job? It doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
9 times out of 10,
it's within your heart.
It's
within your heart. Yeah. And then don't be afraid to get started.
Yes,
I heard this great story once. I'll speed it up. Is there's the king. Okay. And so everybody's suiting after his daughter. And so he lines up all of these men that are in his kingdom. And he said, whoever swims across this river is brave enough and courageous enough to have my daughter's hand in marriage. And so all these men are lined up, but the whole river, here's the problem. The river, like life for athletes, is filled with crocodiles. I mean, people that if this athlete jumps in there to swim across to get his prize, he's going to get eaten up. And so everybody's sitting there, and the king says, whoever's brave enough to swim across. All of a sudden there's a splash, whoosh, and this guy is just swimming across. Everybody else is too afraid to jump in, and this guy's making haste, man. You talk about Michael Phelps. This guy is swimming now, and he gets across the other side, and the crowd roars up, and the king is, all the trumpets are blaring, and the kid, the guy gets up and he goes, you got my hand in marriage. You said, what gave you the courage to jump in? What was it? And the guy goes, who the hell pushed me?
I love that story.
Somebody pushed his ass in the water, and
he
had no choice. And so as an athlete, going into business and going into chasing our dreams, we're all standing on that bank. We want what's on the other side. And sometimes it takes someone to push you. And as an athlete transition coach, like you are, Taj, you're the guy that's going to be pushing these athletes, and helping push them, not push them into a direction they don't want to go, because everybody wanted to swim across the river and have the hand of the king's daughter. You're pushing them towards what they do want to go. And sometimes you got to push. Sometimes it's, especially as an entrepreneur. I mean, sometimes I just would do business after business after business, but I just plan. As soon as I think I got it right, I'd redo it. It's not the right color. It's not the right this. Anthony Trucks. Do you know who Anthony Trucks is? The guy that look him up, man. He's another one of the guys like you and him. You're kind of my top tier of people that I like and listen to. And he always says that. He says, get out of your safe zone, get out of your silo, get around people. And, for you and what you do for athletes and helping their mental health transition, I'm just proud to see that. Okay. What is your daily mental fitness routine? It's kind of like we all have a workout routine. What do you do daily? Is it meditation? Is it listening to music, running? What is it that you do to protect your mind and keep it strong every day?
Man, all of the above that, I appreciate that. I didn't want to let that pass without saying thank you.
You cut out. I'm sorry. If you're giving me compliments, I want everybody to hear it. Listen to this, Brian Lavender.
I
This
was
is how you
actually
do it,
thanking
Brian
you.
Lavender.
I was actually thanking you for giving me compliments,
Yeah,
but
man.
I got
Good
plenty
stuff.
more compliments for you where that comes from, man. But
Good
yeah,
stuff.
my routine, I don't allow junk into my mind. The same way, like when you're trying to, you're on a diet or something, you don't eat junk food. I don't listen to
Word.
junk music. If it's talking about killing me, I don't listen to it.
Gotcha.
I don't watch TV unless it's something I'm intentionally watching. I watched The Last Dance. That's probably the last thing I watched on TV was The Last Dance.
Right.
And I'm watching that not for entertainment, but for inspiration.
Gotcha.
But that's the way I keep myself in check, is by being very intentional about what I allow into my mind.
Love that.
I don't check my phone in the morning. I get up, I might do like a meditation, get a workout in, listen to something positive. I'm constantly I'm absorbing positive information, and that resonates with me. So that's what comes out. Nothing but positive stuff, because that's all I'm taking in. I don't take in anything else if it doesn't serve me. But
Beautiful.
But being intentional about it, it's become a habit over time.
Beautiful. I love that. I think I figured out a business venture for you and I to do on a sidebar. We could make millions, literally millions. We can partner with Everlast, the boxing bag. And then we can, those companies that do big the fat heads, the posters, and we can have receivers kind of stuck on boxing bags and sell them to DBs. Sorry, receivers.
I hope Brian listens to this episode.
I hope he listens.
Man. I really hope Brian listens to this.
He could be our first model. Okay. Oh, last question here. What's your guilty pleasure? What is the one thing that if your teammates knew about you, they'd just shake their head and go, "Hey, man, I can't. Don't even come here with that, man." Don't say practicing running routes. Don't say practicing running receiver routes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kicking it too much. Sorry.
It's not that. I don't practice running routes.
Sorry.
No, guilty pleasure, man.
Be honest, dude.
Say, I'm gonna be honest, because this is kind of a weird one, and I've had people give me shit for this before.
All right.
I listen to heavy metal sometimes, man, and I think as a Black man, especially, like, you wouldn't expect that from me. I listen to all types of music, but like I'm the type of dude where I'll listen to heavy metal while I'm working,
right?
Or while I'm working out, and then even what are they saying? Why are they screaming so much? But like I said, once again, as DBs, we're psychopaths.
We are. So we got a different.
That's probably my guilty pleasure. Is like, man, I'll listen to some heavy metal. But even then, back to the positive mindset. A lot of that heavy metal, it's positive messages. You know what I mean? Like they just sound crazy, but some of it they're talking about like persevering and things like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a
also, man, I like eating. Guilty pleasure is healthy as I am. I guess you would consider smoking a guilty pleasure. I'm a stoner, man. I smoke pretty much. And then once a week, I'll allow myself, when I get the munchies, to go eat some shitty food, because I eat healthy most of the time. But every now and then when I get the munchies, I'll be like, you know what? Let's go to In-N-Out tonight. Let's go get some fried chicken or something. So
let's do it.
That's all I got, man, for guilty pleasures.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, that's it, man. I'm going to wrap this up, but Taj, you're the man. I appreciate you. You know that. I mean, I'm not, I won't brotherly love it too much because we're DBs and we can do that off screen, but I want to thank you and I appreciate what you're doing. Like I said, with the athlete mental health movement, with the athlete mental health certification program, one of the key components is transition coaches, because we know in business consulting with these coaches, because we know that there's a spot for a position, businesses like you. And, so I'm glad to have you on board. All right. So everybody, I'm going to put his Taj's information down in the box below so you can reach out to him. But if they want to get to you quickest, what's the best way that they can get to you? Okay.
Quickest way, TajDashaun.com. Everything else is linked up on there. The book, the podcast, social media handles, that'll take you. If you go to TajDashaun.com, it'll take you where you need to go.
Perfect. I got it bookmarked. All right, my man. Have a great day. And I look forward to talking to you soon. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you.
All right, man. This was great. Finally a DB. Take that, Brian Lavender.